This is an interesting and unusual device. It was sent by Rob for our exploration, and it is a refrigerant diverter valve. And the idea is that in a combined fridge freezer, you have a common liquid line. It's got one thick pipe here, which I'm guessing is the feed line. And then you've got two lines going, presumably the blue one is to the freezer and the other is to the fridge section. And depending on which bit needs cooled, I don't know if it can divert it so there's liquid coming out both at once, but it can use this module on top to actually control that, to divert whether the liquid goes to this one, or perhaps both in differing quantities. Who knows? We'll find out when we open it. So Rob speculated this might have a stepper motor, but he reckoned it was kind of small for a stepper motor. But keep in mind that this is a stepper motor, so this is not small for a stepper motor. It has 6 connections. Provisional probing about does suggest it is a stepper motor. Let's see if we can get this off. I'm expecting this to come off and there to be a metal shell underneath, because this is how electronic expansion valves work. An expansion valve just varies the amount of refrigerant. So here we have, oh, is the whole thing going to come out? Yes, it is. That's going to make life so much easier. Let's pull the little caps off. So the bit that has just come off here is a stepper motor. You can see, this is the stator, this is the bit that stays still, but the magnetic fields rotate inside. And it has the 6 pins. Probing around shows that the 2 middle ones are the common, and then the outer ones each have 40 ohms each. And there's 2 sections of windings in this. It's a very common approach to making these. That it's basically 2 motors stacked slightly out of phase usually. And by sequencing the coils, they can actually make the magnetic field rotate around. I'll zoom in this because really it is quite in the distance. It can make the magnetic field rotate around these wee poles inside. And inside here will be a rotating magnet. Is this going to be easy to open? I don't think it's going to be easy to open, but a Dremel will make sure we get into it. But inside here is the rotating magnet, most likely a linear actuator based on the magnet rotating with a thread and winding a little pin backwards and forwards inside, which normally it would just be a tiny pin sitting into an orifice, to a small hole, to vary the amount of liquid that could flow through depending on the position of the motor. But in this case it may be actually just diverting, a sliding valve that diverts between one or the other. I'm seeing this little pin in the end. I'm guessing that's the end axle inside, but it's strange it comes through the case. I wonder how they seal that, because the rest of it is hermetically sealed. That's the advantage of using the external coil round it like that. The magnetic field goes through the casing and it can go to the motor inside. Now, do I have a magnet here? Let's see if I can actually feel the magnet through it. Technically speaking, there is the magnet. Technically speaking, by moving this round like this, you could theoretically move the core inside. So to get an initial reference, there's the other end of the shaft down there. To get an initial reference with these, they do what many cheap disco lights do, and indeed what this type of thing does. This is a 5-volt stepper motor with 22 ohm windings. This one had 40 ohm windings, so I'm guessing this is possibly 12 volt. But with this one, it's geared and it's got a clutch. And to get an absolute position when it's powered up, it just assumes it's in the worst possible case position, and it counts the number of pulses to wind it from one end to the other, but it doesn't know where it is. It just basically stalls it against the end. In the case of this one, it hits the end and then the clutch rotates. Let's see if I can grab this pair of pliers and rotate the clutch. So if I'm doing this, you can see it just rotates against the gearbox. The gears aren't rotating inside. So in the case of this, the louver would just open to the full extent and stall at the end. But once it's counted that number of pulses that it would have gone from the fully closed to fully open, it knows where it is, and then by winding back half a number of pulses, it would wind it to the mid position, and it can then control any position within that. It's probably doing the same with this, so I'm guessing that when this is powered up, you may hear a slight sort of purring noise from it as the magnetic field slips when it stalls against the end of travel. Right, I'm going to have to open this now. And the way I'm going to open it, I'm going to have to get the Dremel, I think. Let's get this rubber cap off that is presumably just anti-vibration mounting. And I shall Dremel around the joint here, and I'll be back in a moment once I've done that. One moment, please. The deed has been done. Let's explore. So I shall zoom down onto this so we can see it closer. It says Vietnam 2420, presumably the 24th week of 2020. When I opened it up, it looked like this inside. It has the motor section and then a very simple rotating valve. That is the gas inlet port, which just basically enters the whole chamber. And if I take this little thing off here, it's got a sliding valve on one side that basically just mates over those two holes down there that you can just barely see. And if you take a look at this bit, it's simply got a rotating shaft in here. It's not what I thought it was going to be. It's not the sliding one, but it looks as though it's a universal thing that's designed to accommodate multiple applications. But it's got this little metal plate that goes over with the main thing here is that it's got this little tang that sticks down, and that presses down on the valve plate. And then it's got the actual magnetic rotor, which the little insert comes out, suggesting this really is universal. The reason it's a bit black at the end is because I rubbed a Sharpie around it for better pictures. Here's a magnetic core and a little a little springy plate that pushes the whole assembly down. But that is the rotating core inside. Right, tell you what, let's go down onto the bench. I shall zoom out. And we'll bring in a picture because that's going to be much easier to show you. Picture, out of focus picture. Not now, it isn't. Right, let's zoom up in the picture now and explore the bits. Pen as a pointy device. So this is the cup. Now, it's worth mentioning that the cup, I thought that was a shaft going through it and brazed on, and I wondered how they got a good seal around that. It turns out it's just a little dimple, a little indent in there, so it doesn't actually penetrate at all. However, on this bit, it does have multiple. It's not just got the pipes going in, it's also got the shafts sort of brazed in from that side. It makes sense to have everything on the one plate. So there's the cup, and at the back of the cup goes the little spring that pushes down against the magnetic rotor, and it is worth mentioning that the magnetic rotor can take multiple things in here, so presumably it has the other ones that are the spiral for winding up and down. It'll be a universal sort of core that's used in various products. And this, in this instance, it just goes onto a small pinion, a little wheel, that then rides on that wheel to turn it round, the valve wheel. And that valve wheel has a little recess cut out here. I shall just amplify that a little bit. And it rides on these two ports that are leading out to the pipes that are going to the freezer and the fridge section. The only other thing worth mentioning on here is that little springy plate that presses down on this, so it actually holds it down. It basically sits over there, keeps that wheel in position and presses it down lightly against that surface. It doesn't have to be a completely gas tight seal, because all that will happen if it's making it fairly close. I think it's a sort of ceramic material. Hold on, I shall rub it with a hard object. It feels plasticky. Might just be a slidey ceramic or a plastic, not sure. But it doesn't need to seal completely, because if any liquid, refrigerant liquid, does escape out the other hole, it doesn't really matter, because all that will happen is it will go into the appropriate evaporator and have a very, very tiny cooling effect. Take a closer look at that wheel. It has this little, well, it's got one at either end. These are the bits that let it index its position. And if I stick that onto that plate now, like this, and then I bring that bit down here, you'll see that when I wind this round, oh, I'll have to zoom down for this. When I wind this round, it hits and it won't go any further. So I'm not sure which way it initializes. One way shuts off both those ports in the back, and the other way has one, I think it's open. Hold on. Let me just wind it round that way. And that would be covering both ports, I think. Just trying to see here. Hold on. Yeah, I think it would be covering both ports. And if I wind it round the other way, it's got one port. This port would be open if it's wound round in a particular direction, and then when the motor runs and it winds it round, it will transfer to potentially both at once, I think. It will be able to do that. So it will be able to divert both at once. So it can choose one, both, or either just by getting... So initially when it powers up, this will spin round until it stalls on one of the end positions, the chosen position. And it will just skip there. The magnetic field will be just such that it will just shake slightly until it's stopped initializing. And it won't be a huge number of magnetic pulses to make this move. It is a fairly coarse mechanism. I mean, the motor itself, it goes in tiny little increments, so it does, it will be a fair number, but not as much as the sort of super precise TXV, the thermal expansion valve type sort of control, where it is basically a small pointed needle going down into an orifice to regulate gas flow precisely. Let me pull out of here. So that's quite interesting. The motor itself has the set of poles on one side, and then in between the two very simple coils here, I should zoom down this as well, shouldn't I? In between the two coils here, it has another set of matching poles that are just basically interlocked like that, so that as the polarity changes, the magnetic field steps, and they are offset from each other, so that simply by effectively changing the polarity of each of these coils, it can basically create a rotational movement. And the changing of the polarity is very, very simple. There's a center tap winding. So you've got one end, then it winds round in one direction, goes onto a center tap, keeps winding around, goes on to the next center tap by the look of it. Is that right? But by making either of those windings, actually, is it going to be that, or is it going to be wound in the opposite direction? Probably wound in the opposite direction. But it's got a common connection for the two coils. But by alternating the pin that's connected to either end of that winding, it effectively changes the polarity of this. So by basically changing the polarity of that plate, they basically step the motor around, and then that translates to moving the valve. Very, very simple. I guess that's the secret of mass production though, isn't it? And the drive circuitry for this will be very simple. It'll be something like, you could just have 4 transistors. You could have a ULN2803. You could actually drive 2 of these. That's just a Darlington driver. All it's doing is the middle pins are probably connected positive, and it's just connecting the other 4 outer pins onto the negative rail to actually in sequence to get the rotation. Very simple. A neat little assembly. So I'd like to say thank you to Rob for sending that. He thought it would be quite interesting to take apart, and it did turn out to be very interesting to take apart. So thank you for that. Well worth shredding and taking apart for exploration.